Cosmic Top Secret is an unusual game, about as close to non-fiction as video games get. Games like the Cold War board game Twilight Struggle may seek to simulate historical events, but Cosmic Top Secret, in an abstract and whimsical way, is autobiographical. Produced by Copenhagen-based film and game studio Klassefilm Cosmic Top Secret recounts the experience of game director Trine Laier, as she discovers her parents' role in the national security of her country of Denmark. Laier's background in game development goes back to the 1990s as an animator, and established her own company, Cosmic Top Secret co-producer Dossiers, in 1998. Here's Laier in her own words on the topics of storytelling in games, personal journeys, and game design. Cosmic Top Secret is produced by Klassefilm and co-produced by Dossiers. Hence it's probably more like a joint venture taking advantage of our different backgrounds and mutual interest in telling stories, if possible as video games. We met at the conference Nordic Game 7 years ago, when we were both scouting for business partners and possibilities in the cross-media area. Games are by many still considered to be a waste of time, and that's what we are humbly aiming to change with Cosmic Top Secret, by working with serious matters that are usually dealt with in film, literature, art, graphic novels, etc. At the same time, we totally honor games as a suitable form, if not better than any other media to tell this particular, for us important, story about being estranged from one's origin. It is about both, in terms of the history of the Cold War and my parents' role in that, what we call the big circle, and the little circle, about my personal relationship with my parents. You may ask, why does it need to be personal? It's because we believe it's through honest and detailed descriptions of other people's lives that will reflect and evaluate our own life. We believe those kind of themes can be dealt with both via mechanics, involving your body more directly than a film can, and via regular story elements. For us, a personal experience was quite suitable as the backdrop for an investigative game, where you have to explore and put bits and pieces together to form a bigger picture, where you, the player, to a certain extent, can design your experience, like how much do you want to go in depth into specific areas and missions. About 50% of the game's content is in optional missions. If you, for instance, take a special interest in early computer technology, you can freely choose to pick up all the ferrite cores for the bits, dossier that are used as guiding points during the game, and if you find them all, you will get a video about cryptographs, etc. If you are more up for crazy, but true anecdotes, you can choose to complete the Khrushchev dossier and get the story about the Soviet leaders' visit in Copenhagen in 1964, where Danish intelligence installed extra pipes in his hotel room to take out a stool sample, because of rumors that he was seriously ill. He was not. Should you care more about how it was like to be platoon leader for the Danish Queen in the Women's Auxiliary Force, and be headhunted to the Flight Division No. 3 at Intelligence as my mother did, you can choose to follow that branch. So many game premises are alike, and we believe there's a vast potential for developing new interesting games with unseen, unheard of premises without compromising quality of gameplay. They may even add new angles to the development of gameplay. We stuck to the initial idea of the game all the way through. You, the player, controls me trying to reveal what my dad worked on for real at Intelligence during the Cold War. It should consist of real people and real material and real feelings, and it should, as much as possible, integrate the story in the mechanics, and vice versa. Actually, we aimed for developing the game's mechanics and the story simultaneously, not favoring one from the other. That may just be an idée fixe, but it has encouraged us to keep prototyping on the mechanics, without exactly knowing what would happen in the story. This was a method that was met with a lot of skepticism from the outside. First you have to write the story, and then you can do the game. Instead we tried to form a structure of the possible story elements. We had game jams where we played around with those elements, and chose the ideas that seemed to correlate the best with the theme. For instance, we discovered there was a good connection between the story aspect, where you have to follow that, and the mechanics that suited that aspect of motion. I would then follow my dad in reality, with some sort of recording equipment, and be especially focused on capturing him while in motion. In that way, we went back and forth with the story on the mechanics, and the ideas of fragile paper characters in a just as fragile paperworld. Throwing a hand grenade on the right spots can open secret passages emerged, and we prototyped the best ideas. Ideas were pretty much based on the natural abilities of paper. Paper can crumble, fall apart, shred, glide as paper planes, etc. And we mocked up the levels very roughly. Early in development we decided on a 6-level structure, and to have each level represented by one side of a cube, and each side divided in 9 fields, meaning you need to collect mini objects for each level, and 54 objects to complete the game. It was, in my opinion, a good plan to decide on this structure early, and then keep an open mind to other aspects of the game. During the further development, it's never too late to add crazy ideas, but it's impossible to change the game fundamentally. When I followed my dad during recording and he accidentally fell and hurt himself while throwing a hand grenade, it became the turning point in level 1. Because I realized there was something important for me, connected to the memory of a physically strong and active dad, always protecting me, and the scary fact that he was getting old and fragile. And somehow it corresponded with the history of the little kingdom of Denmark and its role in the Cold War. The term need to know, used in intelligence, means you are only allowed access to information you will need for your specific mission. Nothing more. It became the emotional mission, so to say, to get to know Ed as a human being, and not only a dad or somebody who worked for intelligence. We have worked with it as what you would call a C-plot in a film. The B-plot is about the relation between father and daughter, whereas the A-plot is the main plot. What did they work on? Was Dad a spy? Around the same time, I called Danish intelligence and asked for permission to investigate my parents' dossiers, which became the turning point in level 2. They were very kind and helpful and actually invited my parents, not me, for a declassification meeting, where they were briefed about what and what not they could talk with me about. But I have also talked with less helpful former employees at intelligence who advised me not to proceed. So I did say, under the googly eyes and the relaxed erudite chatting, lies a more uncertain no man's land kind of atmosphere, where you never really know when to stumble over invisible threads connected to automatically firing machine guns. It might be an imagined threat or unexplained subconscious fear of doing something wrong, both in terms of family traumas and national security. But I think that might be the root of the tension. One may feel dripping from the trailer. The eyes came on a little later in the process. Actually, me and producer Lise Saxtrup were at a talk at Nordic Game, and I was working on the model sheet. The characters on my laptop when I maybe just for fun added those googly eyes to the dead model. It was hilarious, and when I showed it to Lise next to me, we were dying of laughter on the row in the talk we were supposed to be attending. But actually, these eyes solved a problem with communicating feelings. In the previous design, it was only the mouth that could animate, and that is not enough. The big white round eyes show clearly the different moves of the characters, and they can easily be reused between characters, also making it possible to work cost-effectively with a cast of more than 30 personalities. A piece of advice for establishing your own style would be to do simplest fun, believe in it, to encourage the team to not be afraid of trying something outrageous. I read long ago that Walt Disney always asked his visual artists and animators for something more wild. Yes, that's great, but try to exaggerate it even more. Another bit of advice could be to combine, to crossbreed different genres, like what would happen if you mixed Warhammer with chick lit, etc. In our case it's probably 60s school spy style, the spy who came in from the cold mixed with the more humorous Fritz the cat kind of style. I think we should initiate more visual jams. We operate a lot with game jams, but actually the visual style is not up for jamming in the same way. I am sure that there would come up some interesting styles if we try to do that more.